and just accepting everybody. So no, we'll just accept. No, you can't accept these people, and I'm getting all these birds offering me sex. I'm thinking, oh, for fuck's sake! And they got deleted. I don't see why I should have to pay for sex.
Okay.
I don't, and I don't like lap dancing clubs. And all my pals, some of my pals have got them, and you can go down there and you can get a few extras and that. I said, I'm not doing that. I don't need to pay for sex. But in the same breath, I might go to one later. I'm only messing because I don't like to call that. So I found it. There's a lot more of that type of stuff. Spearmint rhinos and pubs and clubs had doormen everywhere. When I was 3, only places that needed doormen had them.
So a lot had changed and you had to adjust.
Massively.
Yeah.
Massively. And how people treated each other had changed. The respect for your just any person had changed. Having it just streets had changed. People have changed. Live down them streets. You don't know your neighbours anymore. There was less respect for people because it was all about the rat race. You find that a village now is becoming overpopulated because they've built housing estates in the village on Greenbelt Lane where they need houses. So I found that changed. And the nature of the crimes in this country had changed, where you've got more kids now class themselves as criminals because they're robbing drug dealers.
More guns.
Or they're robbing each other, more
streets.
guns. The European passports flooded our prisons with prisoners from other countries. And they brought drugs, prostitution, child prostitution, human trafficking through the European gates that David Cameron opened when he made a European. I don't know if it was right or wrong, but I know one thing. This country's become worse as a result because of the amount of people that are now in this country. Look, Little Boy Blue in Liverpool. I know the lads. They come into the system, all right? And I say them kids, they realise the error of their ways now. Do they need to serve the amount of times they did? No. You need to give people hope in the horizon, and 20 years would have been enough if they do what's right of them and get home. But they were kids themselves in some ways. Gone off track a little bit there, but
it's okay.
I see kids come into the prisons that were doing far too long. The guns. So that Little Boy Blue that gun was in the hands of a child who's gone and shot a child.
Okay.
In Liverpool, do you remember the kid riding about on his bike? It's called Little Boy Blue.
No, I didn't.
It's a famous. They made a series about it, and there's a good actor who plays that. A Scouse actor. He's brilliant.
I'm gonna watch it.
Watch it. But them kids are getting their hands on guns where they wouldn't have got a gun before that. People didn't have guns as readily as they have now.
Yeah, they didn't. Because I remember, like back in my days, in our area, that you could count on one hand. Like there would be 5 people who would have access to guns or that would use it, and those 5 people would be very feared.
And are older.
And
if you give a gun to a younger generation of 21 years of age or so, you'd be frowned upon.
Yeah, now everybody in my area, like the young'uns, they've all got guns.
Would you carry a derringer on here, do you?
Who, me?
On your garter, yeah. So you've got a derringer down here, ain't you, eh? Do a little bit of the old dancing and up comes a derringer.
No, I won't lie. Obviously, I have been around firearms and stuff, but I've never carried it or anything like that.
Yeah, they used to in the old days, didn't they? Like the dancing girls would have a derringer down here, 2-piece shooter. In the old cowboy days, that's where it comes from.
Okay.
Ladies' pistol, derringer.
Okay.
Yeah. I've got one now. It's on my left leg.
There you have it.
No, I ain't. I don't carry bleeding or anything like that. I've got my gelignite and dynamite. That's what I use, and that does me.
How long have you been out of prison for now?
About a year and a half.
Okay, so
I got recalled.
Okay.
Yeah. Recalled for common assault, non-custodial offence. Banged up for 14 and a half months. Let out for 2. Banged up for another 4. Recalled again. They got done for false reporting, the new probation officer and the manager. And I was released on a Friday night by the Secretary of State, which I'm now... they've released me, so they've accepted they made a mistake. And I'm getting compensation for that.
Good.
But, money's okay, but you can't get
that
time back.
That time back, yeah. I mean, I hope that they take back that conviction, and they should be sued. To be honest with you, and you should get a very large amount of compensation for the 20 years that
Do
you
you know
served.
you get taxed on that? They not tax you, they take off your bed and board. And they've capped it to £1 million for 10 years and over, and under that £500,000 and take bed and board off of you. Really? So the most important part for me is for people to look into my case, sign the change.org petition. If they, I don't really pump that, but look into the case. If you've got any information, come forward. Fitted Up and Fighting Back website, Instagram, TikTok, or go to the police or whoever. Get my conviction overturned, and then get the film out there. Get my papers drafted for me to go to the Criminal Cases Review Commission based off the Forensic Institute of Science. They can't be opposed because they write the science in this country. And Joel Benathan said on Panorama, it is a game changer. I believe my conviction then will be squashed, that it will be expedited to the Court of Appeal because of they don't need to argue it because they write the law. They're saying it is wrong. You can't contest it. Or if you can contest it, you're contesting the people who write the law for you, as if you was a forensic scientist. I believe I will go back to the Court of Appeal, and they have to squash my conviction because there's an appeal point called Pendleton, and you mustn't second guess what you believe a jury member would have made of that appeal point. You can't, can you? And I'm saying, out of those 12 jurors, you cannot say that at least 6 of them thought that me gripping a gun inside a bag that's now proven to be rubbish was damning for me. And if the Court of Appeal say they don't think it affected them, then that shows that they are corrupt to the core, and they can't do that. So get the Lennox brothers to get this film out there, coincide it with an application to the CCRC, and have the nation behind me, and go up and get my conviction squashed. And then I'm going to go and buy an island, and I'm going to disappear and come back from when I want to, have an island, have independence so I can write my own rules and have people on there that I want to live with me, that I know are of kind, caring, loving, and not be around humans too much. Because I've been in a human warehouse, haven't I, like a sardine.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
Sounds great.
And I think you have to have a dream, and I don't think it's too far away from me. And it is based on the book. So when you read that book, anybody, get it off of Amazon, because I've run out of books at the minute, so you'll only be waiting for me to get a new order.
Yeah, I ordered one already, but I got another one. Thank you that you gave me
I
inside.
want to take it back now. I've run out.
Fitted Up and Fighting Back by Kevin Lane. I can't wait to read it.
I'm not kidding you. On the reviews, it's an excellent book based on people. I
actually read some of your reviews of the book, and it was it sounds really good. That's why I ordered it. I read the reviews, and I was like, I've got to get this book because obviously I'm a criminologist, so I'm interested in stuff like that, and I'm really looking forward to sitting down and reading it.
I'd love to hear your review. I chased for this file because I wanted the information in it, because he was going to come forward and sell it to the newspapers. He said it would get my conviction squashed.
Okay.
They denied that it existed. Heather Mills was sitting at a hearing in Kingston when the miscarriage of justice file came up, and it was put under PII, and yet they're denying it exists. So I'd have been out years ago, and that file was put under public community interest.
Wow.
And that's in open court. They come out and she's reported on it. That's what I'm fighting against. I'm fighting against a system that they have laws like PII. PII should not be PII. Your barrister is a learned QC of the Queen's Counsel or the King's Counsel now. Now, why is it that he can't see it, but the prosecution counsel can, when they're both learned, respectable King's Counsel now? He should be going and say, well, look, you know that that's not right, and that should have been disclosed, and it undermines his conviction. But no, they put that material under public community interest to stop you getting acquitted or found not guilty. It's wrong.
Yeah, because if that happens, they're going to look really, really bad, and they're going to have to pay out a very large sum of money.
Now, the money, I'll just do a lot of good with it. Yeah. Money's only in my hands to do good with. I'll do okay out of it. I'll do okay now. Well, we'll be soon with my houses and such, but money to make people happy, and that money will just go bosh. And I do believe there's a lot of people out there, police officers and staff within the criminal justice system, that are aware of my conviction being unsafe. Other police officers conducted investigations into evidence that was obtained during the investigation that wasn't put forward. So they are guilty as The officers that have fitted me up.
So the actual crime that you got charged for, that they set you up with, what exactly what happened? What took place?
So the deceased was a face in the area, a very capable face. Okay. And he was known for protection rackets and walking into your house with a chainsaw and saying, "We're now partners. I can cut all your furniture up and all this and whatever." Or walk into a pub and spit in your face and say, "I don't pay for drinks in here." That was his modum operandi. And he was waylaid walking down a country lane, and he was ambushed by two men, and he was killed with a pump-action shotgun and shot at the scene and died instantly.
Okay.
Two original suspects were arrested for that, and then I was arrested, I'd say, months later when they brokered the deal and put me forward. That is the synopsis of what really happened.
Okay.
And he was brutally executed in an atrocious manner.
The guy that was killed?
Yeah, he was 5 times shot of a pump action, and the 5th shot, final shot into his head on the floor just to make sure he was dead.
He was dead, yeah. That was a personal attack. He must have done something to somebody, because that's personal, you know.
Well, could it have been that he slapped one of those co-defendants' mothers?
Yeah.
And they were so frightened of him, they thought, we're going to kill him before he comes for us. Has to be considered.
If you slap somebody like that, slap somebody's mum like that, he's definitely coming for you. There's no doubt about that. That's his mother.
Especially when the co-defendant goes around and says he's killed more people than Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
Brags about it in the prison system. That prisons have come forward and said, "We know you didn't do it." The prison population was massively behind me because they knew I hadn't done it, because they know what goes on in the criminal fraternity. And when you've got an arsehole who subsequently gets found guilty for another murder, because he was released by the deal that he brokered with the police to be released at halfway, to go on and kill again. So the police are now guilty of another murder. So let's just retract there a little bit. So when to be released and go on and commit another murder,
that makes the parole board look very bad.
Well, it's not parole, it's police, because Spackman gave evidence that expurgated him. I can't get the word out in a minute. That got him out of the investigation. Okay. So Ralph Himes used to look after the Quay twins. Kenny Collins, Hatton Garden burglar, is a very dear friend of mine, and he's in my book. He's in my book because I was asked to go on the bit of work that they got nicked for.
Okay.
And I turned it down. I said, I haven't fought 20 years to win my case, to come home, to go and do a burglary on a safe deposit box and go back to prison. But Kenny goes, we want someone in here to get them boxes open, who's fit and strong. I said, not for me, thank you.
Yeah, it's a good
and I
thing
turned it down. But Kenny I was on my mum with Kenny in the unit, and Kenny used to send me £500 every Christmas, and so did a number of other people from North London and right across the country. Every year, bang, the same amount of money into my Christmas box that see me through prison for a long time, as well as fundraising and stuff like that. Now, Kenny says to Ralph Himes, look, my pal's in here, young kid, he's Nick, and he said, Ralph Himes goes, yeah, I represent the other one. He said, and the deal's done. He said, your pal's going away and my one's getting out halfway. Because Ralph Himes at the time, you could pay him to work with old Bill, you could pay him to do this, you could pay him to do that. He worked with both sides, and he brokered the deal. And that's how come the co-defendant got out. Now, Kenny Collins knew about that 9 months before it happened, but he couldn't tell me that my co-defendant was grafting with the old Bill. He said, I couldn't tell you that you were going away. Because when he come and said to me, he said, my solicitor reckons that his client's getting off. And so I said, well, fucking hell, well, if the evidence is bad against him, then I've got to be getting off. And then, of course, the co-defendant saying, the cop has been round my house and said, I'm getting off, but you ain't going nowhere. And then, of course, it came true. But you couldn't predict what Kenny knew, and it became fact.
This book, when did you start writing this book? Was it when you was in prison?
I wrote that in 2004, and I wrote it in 6 months. Joel Benathan recommended that I write a book. He said it'd be fascinating. So I did. And I penned it, put it down. I've had a few prisoners edit it for me. I've had Duncan Campbell read it. I've had Julie Christie read it, said she couldn't put it down. Nick Hopkins named it Fitted Up and Fighting Back. I was going to name it Hitman or Hoover Salesman. You decide with a question mark. Because I used to sell Kirby Hoovers.
Okay.
And I tell you, I'm proud of that because they're an excellent product that has never been copied. And they're still producing it now. People
You'd
say,
be an excellent salesman, you would.
I sold 26 in a weekend. I broke the world record.
Yeah.
I got £4,700 wages that
imagine.
weekend, 30 odd years ago. So what the point was when I had a security company, I had a number of venues, and this lad used to work for me called Paul Blesson, and he stopped working for me. Next thing you know, he's pulled up in a 944 Porsche. I said I could sell them. They're all getting these awards and stuff. I went for the interview, got the job, sold 26 in the weekend, delivered 16 because they couldn't all get finance. Some people couldn't pay cash. And then I broke a number of records each month subsequently thereon and become an area distributor within 6 because I loved the product.
That's amazing. And you got the gift of the gab.
Yeah, but if you go in and you sell something and you believe in it and it's doing the job more so, it's easy, isn't it?
Did you just dress up smart as well, like that? You used to go in.
Yeah, I always wear a suit. Always had a suit on. I used to wear suits when I was 16.
Okay.
Loved it. And then people say, oh, he thinks he's a gangster. Well, I didn't think I was a gangster at 16 because I didn't know anything about gangsters. I didn't know who the local villains were in the next town. Didn't even know the family's name. Wasn't interested. I liked to be smart. I liked to polish my shoes. I couldn't shave until I was about 30 and I was only getting bum fluff then. Touch. Eh? So, yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to dress up smart.
It is nice, isn't it?
It's nice to dress up smart because unfortunately people, they do, make judgment on just how you dress, on your appearance and how you look and stuff. So it's very important to look, nice and classy.
The first thing people do is form an opinion of you. Straight away.
Especially like the first impressions.
First impressions are very important. But you must look at people in the eyes. And I've got some friends of mine who will look in the eyes, but they will look away. That's not because they're not trusting. It's just maybe something that's been like them in a child. But I know I trust them impeccably. But you must look at someone in the eye. And you can tell a lot by looking at someone in the eye normally. You're blurred in this eye, so I don't know what I can tell you about you in a minute. I got sucker punched. Someone tried to nick my watch off me.
Really?
Yeah, they sucker punched me from the side, broke my eyelid, my nose, fractured my cheekbone.
When was this?
A few months ago.
Oh, okay.
And
Did you knock
I
him
was
out?
coming out of Sexy Fish. It's been reported, Sexy Fish, that a lot of people are getting mugged when they come out of there.
Okay.
So I spent all afternoon in there. Had some friends of me, went to an art gallery exhibition, left there, and this fella was shouting at me when I was walking along the road. He said I'd insulted his girlfriend. I got witnesses to this as well, thank God, and it's got to be on camera as well because it's in the centre of London. And this lady said, I said, I don't know you, miss, do I? She said, no, you don't. I said, I've never seen you before. She said, no, you have not. I said, you've got the wrong fella, mate. And he's shouting and screaming at me, and he said he was going to stab me. I'm going to effing kill you.
Wow.
I said, you are not stabbing me, pal. All right. As I walked away from him, he told me that. So I turned, I said, you ain't stabbing me. Anyway, what's happened is he's ended up walking around the side of me as we're going off now and give me the biggest right-hander you could ever imagine. Nose gushing my blood and all sorts of things like that. And I thought, oh, fucking hell. So I said, wait there. So I stopped this bleeding. Stopped the gushing of blood. I said, right, now let's have a chat. And he run.
He tried to take your watch, did he?
He was ordered to get him a watch because we couldn't understand why this bloke was shouting at me saying I've disrespected his girlfriend, and his girlfriend turned around and say, I've never seen him before.
So maybe that was an excuse for him to try to take your watch.
Take my watch. I think it was a set-up because we come out of Sexy Fish. They'd have been following us and saying, right, because I was walking, I looked like a city gent. I had a really expensive suit on, I had a cashmere 3/4 length coat on, camel skin. And my pal said, what? He must have thought you was a broker.
Yeah, or maybe the Sexy Fish, maybe a lot of people who are wealthy probably go there with watches, chains and stuff. So that's probably why there's a lot of robberies going on out there.
I think the meal was $3,000 that day. Yeah, $3,000, and there was 5 of us.
So it must be a bougie place.
Yeah, it's Sexy Fish. I'd never been in there before. My mate paid for it. What a touch.
The food always tastes better when someone else pays for it, isn't it?
Well, Ronnie Parry, a very respectable friend of mine and a real class act, No, I'll get this. And I was with him and a couple of other decent lads. And they're not shy of putting their hands in their pocket at all, consistently. And he paid for that. And it was lovely to be invited there on that day with an artist. There was an artist there as well. But to end on that note on that day, and I didn't go to the police. I didn't do nothing. I just covered my eye up and left it. And left it at that. But that goes to show what could happen to you. Now, that's called bad behaviour. If I had actually been involved in a fight there, they class it as bad behaviour and recall me. Yet someone has tried to rob me.
Wow. So you're not even allowed to self-defend, to protect yourself.
Very difficult. Very, very difficult. Because it's called a red flag situation where you're meant to use the tools of your trade that you've learnt the tools of your trade, the tools you've learnt in prison to diffuse a situation. Or, let me just turn that on. What's going on here? Oh, my having that's him. It's another one this afternoon. But you can't when something like that happens. What chance did I say, no, you've got a mistaken identity? The man singled me out. He's shouting at me from 30 feet away, I give you, not 10 feet. He's shouting at me as I'm walking up to him. So it's pre-planned, it's premeditated. And he had 2 other fellas with him. If I'd have been involved in a fisticuffs with him, I would have got recalled. But because he had assaulted me and there hadn't been any fisticuffs, and it's quite clearly showing me walking off and going, no, I'm not interested, go away. But it's all I wondered why. How come that assault has not been taken forward in terms of why didn't the police turn up and say, what's happened to you? We've got you on camera. Because you see these things on telly where they're watching scenes, aren't they, having shopping centres, and the police comes filing there. You couldn't not help but see the amount of blood that was gushing out of my bloody nose where it was broken. In my eye.
The thing is, it must be so difficult, especially like you can't self-defend yourself. And then obviously people know. I mean, are you on a license?
Life license.
Yeah.
Life.
So do you find that maybe some people like try to, because they know that you can't?
Absolutely. I've got an arsehole called Andrew George, and for all those that have been done for him by fraud, he got 15 counts of fraud and deception arrested for a few months ago, and he's released from prison. He owes me £255,000.
Wow.
I bought some investment in Turkey, some flats and apartments, found out the true nature of this man, said, I want no part of you. And he offered to agree and buy me out, and now he threatens me with the police. I went to his house, knocked on his door, and respectfully I said, I'm sorry to come to your house, to his wife. I said, but he owes me this money. He's using your name to sell shares in a horse that he doesn't even own. She said, I've got nothing to do with it, but you're on the contract. And he sold a pal of mine some shares in that horse that doesn't exist. And I know I own that money. He's borrowed £40,000 off another friend of mine and £40,000 off another friend of mine in my name, which they've given to him because they respect me. Now I know I own that money, as well as the money he now owes me. So he threatens me with the police all the time. And I've just got a debt collector, a legal debt collector, who's going to engage with him now and look to get my money back. So he can deal with the debt collector.
That's smart.
Okay. Recently, I've got a show home site in Chalfont St Giles, and I turned that meadow into a show home site. I've got it agreed, texts and emails. I put a road in all the way around the meadow, and I demolished a load of buildings, levelled it to put a pop-up stage in for the film industry, but they weren't interested in it, so we were going to rent it to someone else. Unbeknownst to me, the people on the meadow, he's got a substance abuse addiction. The whole family have. Not his wife, but the whole family, the brothers, the dad, and some sisters and so on and so forth. They agreed to rent the rear space of the meadow out to someone behind my back for up to £8,000 a month to begin with, £96,000 a year, and they gave me a notice to leave the site within 3 months. I said, I'm not leaving this site. I haven't even sold my home. So I then had an earthquake in Turkey. My home's turned up in October. They turned up damaged for different reasons. Devastated me. I've seen them put together in Turkey, finished, come over on lorries and turn up with all the ceilings and all the walls down where water's been allowed to get in because they hadn't sealed the roof properly when they've wrapped it. They are now threatening me with the police again and seize possession of the goods on that site because they say I'm a convicted contract killer. This morning I get a message saying, I cannot continue to live in fear of you coming to my home. It's all obviously she's saying that for the right reasons, because I've since found out they rented the rear part and they've been binning the money in their pocket without telling me.
Okay.
So I tape everything when I go there now and tape them and say this is for my protection. And they phoned the police yesterday and said a convicted contract killer's on here is refusing to leave and blah, and they said it's a civil matter. And then, of course, when I said to her, I'm taping you for my own protection, put her on the back foot, this woman. And they're now manipulating the situation again. So I've got homes on there that they said they were going to seize and take possession of. I've borrowed money, I've sold everything, all my shackles and coals. I've sold what I could get. I've had investments from other people to get this business over across the floor. And now they're trying to scupper that. So in the last year, 2 years, you're looking at the value of nearly £600,000 that people are trying to have me over for.
It must be so frustrating, because if you wasn't on a life license, you know, you basically take the law into your own hands.
I'd get them by the throat.
Yeah, so it must be so frustrating that you can't do that. But I wanted to ask you, why did they give you the name, the London Contract Killer?
So it was the Times newspapers had me the #1 contract killer in the country, because the police said I received £100,000 per hit at that time. You can get someone killed for £500 nowadays, reportedly.
Yeah, because I saw something about they thought that you worked for the Ukrainian embassy.
I told them I committed a murder in this country for the UK president as a revenge killing in this country.
Wow. And is that in reference to the murder that you went to jail for?
That's in relation to another murder.
Okay, so you have another.
When I got found guilty at the court, there was 3 police officers waiting to dock arrest me for murders that he said I'd done.
Okay, but so obviously you didn't get charged for any of those?
No, none. But
Okay.
he'd been telling them I'd done these murders and that murder and that murder, then coming into prison for another murder himself and telling people he's killed more people than Freddy Krueger. And if I got charged of another murder and I put an appeal out there, I think you'll find pretty much a lot of people would come forward, although they're fellow prisoners, and say, yeah, he told me that.
Yeah.
More so now they know he's a police informer and Supergrass. And he's been working with the authorities in there, serving information, supplying information on former prisoners that then go on to be kept in prison for a substantial length of time longer, and also being charged for other crimes.
They just sound all dodgy.
Well, very dodgy. There's a gentleman called Gary Nelson. He got done for killing P.2, and he shot a doorman as well. A police officer come out of a house a few doors down to where he just shot the doorman. He got retried for that, and apparently, so I'm led to believe, it was my co-defendant and this fella's mother are the only people who knew where the bag was.
Okay.
And then the police find the bag and go ahead and do joint double jeopardy and find him guilty for the 2 murders, and he's now serving the sentence. But this fella, when he was arrested for the murder, the original suspect, he was moved to the Scrubs and he was given cell association in the block.
Scrubs prison?
Yes, with a high-risky inmate who had never met before. And they put him straight in his cell to have cell association during the daytime.
Okay.
They then become friends. He gets acquitted. The other one gets acquitted for what he was originally charged for. And they become godparents to each other's kids. My co-defendant then gets found guilty for another murder, like I say. He then comes away. Whilst he's away, they then arrest this Gary Nelson for the double jeopardy shooting that he's previously got a not guilty on. Retried him, found the bag, and now he's serving, I think, 44 years.
Wow.
And apparently he doesn't have any contact with my co-defendant anymore. And this co-defendant has cut his ties with a lot of people in prison now, and he's flying through the prison at a great pace of knots. Or the 2 original suspects are now flying through the pace at a great pace of knots because they were both found guilty of another murder together after being let go of the one that I've been found guilty for. It sounds a little bit complicated to that, but when you look into it and people read the book, it simplifies it.
I think the reason why it sounds a little complicated is because of all the dodginess that's going on. It just doesn't make no sense. It's like things are taking place that shouldn't be taking place, and it's like, why is this? It's not adding up. It's not adding up at all.
It doesn't add up, and more so that I wasn't arrested due to the evidence they had. I was arrested down to confidential chats that the co-defendant had where he put me forward. The case didn't bring them to my door. They took them elsewhere, substantially elsewhere, concrete evidence.
When you was in prison, like throughout your sentence, did you ever contemplate suicide?
I thought, how much more of this have I got to put up with? Because it's not just the sentence, it's what your fellow interns put you through. In that you've got their problems as well. If you're a nice fella, you're a good, kind fella, you'll end up having a lot of other people's problems, and that wears you down. Oh, Kevin, you've heard what he's going to do. You've heard what they're. I thought, oh, for God's sake, give us a break. I'm just trying to do my time here. And every time I have an altercation or something, that's on my Category A reports. And said Lane is still using instrumental violence to settle his arguments in prison.
Which could go against you, isn't it?
Go against you. But it's not. So there's a young fella, my pal of mine, I was meant to be best man at his wedding. I didn't get to go there because my, at the time, probation officer has been an absolute arsehole. Like I said, he got me recalled. That young man was being bullied by another man in another prison. I had been in a block for a fight and for using too much force to defend myself against two fellas. Would you have it? Yep. Only my hands. And then I got sent to another prison where I said, oh, if I come across this fella. So I was in the block first of all, and it come about that this fella in the block I was with had a phone up his backside and a charger. I don't know how he done that. And he handed his phone over to another fella who hadn't paid for him. I said, if I see this fella, I'll ask him for it. I only get sent to this prison where the fella is. So I've come into the prison. Paul Ferris, the wee man, Glaswegian godfather, one of them up there, he does a film called The Wee Man. Okay. He and a few books. Hey, Kevin. He said, hello, Kevin. He said, my name's Paul Ferris. I said, I'd never heard of Paul at that time. I said, oh, nice to meet you. I've got some cleaning materials here for you. Oh, lovely. Give them to me. I've walked in, the whole prison knows me because you've had a helicopter there and, oh, Kevin Lane's here, Kevin Lane's here. And I didn't realise at the time, but where you're fighting with the prison staff and you're having fights in prison with arseholes.
Yeah,
ripples. Ripples. And they expect me to be
Starts ringing bells.
Ringing bells. So I walk in upstairs, staff have been briefed on me, like I said to you.
Prepare for Kevin Lane, he's coming.
I know. And what happens? This fella comes walking out the kitchen, right? And he goes, hey, Kevin, lad. He said, my name's Geordie. He says, I've cooked you a bit of scran here. I said, don't fucking talk to me. And the staff was sitting over there. I said, don't fucking talk to me. I said, you owe my mate some money. I said, if you don't pay him, I'm going to punch your head in down the gym tomorrow and they'll fuck off. The staff are
That's like, it, Kevin Lee's officially in the building.
I'm in the air. The staff are like that. I can look at him. He turned away and walked off. I looked over here. There's a little fella grinning like you would never believe. And I said, all right, mate, how are you? And he said, oh. I said, oh, Kevin, nice to meet you. Anyway, it turned out that this arsehole had been bullying him like you would never believe, and he was going to hang himself that night.
Wow.
And he see what I did, and he didn't hang himself. And then this fella was putting notes under his bed saying, when the big fella, I wasn't big, I said, right, I only went into prison 11 stone 7. He said, when the big fella goes back down south, you're getting it. So I got these notes, I went straight round to this cell, I thought it can only be him. He's got a couple of fellas in the cell of him. I've walked in. I said, right, I'm deputising you. If anything happens to my mate, I said, I'm holding you responsible, so make sure you take care of him. And I knew it was him giving the notes, saying he was going to do something to him. And he never touched him. And my mate now survived to get married.
You was actually meant, that was destined for you to go there to save this boy's life. If you hadn't have gone, he could have...
He'd be dead.
Yeah, he would have been dead.
He said he was hanging himself that night. And that's why the staff said I was good for landings.
So, maybe, obviously, it's a miscarriage of justice, and I know that it's a very long time, but there probably is other reasons as well, but that was probably one of the reasons of why you went to prison, to save that boy's life. And whoever else you've probably helped. You've probably helped so many people in there.
You don't look upon it as like you are, fucking hell. But if you're genuinely a nice person and you care for people, you will always give up. I will give people what I've got, my last money in my pocket, and I do it regularly. I mean, I've had no money on me at times. I mean, I've been eating Weetabix from Monday to Friday to Monday because I've put every penny into the site and I won't keep taking money off my friends. And yet if I had 20 quid in my pocket, I would give it to someone, and I've done that. But prison, I have helped a lot of people for the right reasons and then for the wrong reasons, because prison officers cannot protect you. It's an unwritten law in there. They haven't got eyes everywhere. They can't see what's going on in a cell. They can't see what's going on in the showers. And through that comes territory that is unprotected, and violence, and people to inflict their will on a person.
In the showers.
Happens. It's whether it's sexually, having to send money to someone, putting spoons up people's backsides now to get their puff out of their arse.
Wow.
That never would have happened when I was in prison on the landings, and we had respect for each other. We wouldn't have any bullying.
Did you ever hear like of anyone being raped and stuff? Do people?
Yeah.
It does. It happens.
Yep. It happens.
Wow.
It happens.
That's one of the things that I just cannot. You know, like rape. I hate it so much.
So women get raped, men get raped. Right. Men get raped in prison. Men get asked for sexual favours in prison because they get a drug addiction. So Dominic Noonan, the Noonans from Manchester, he's now served a sentence for shagging young boys. I've done time with him on the landings, and he's always a bit suspicious about having. He did a video. He had young kids dressed in black and suits. Like, I can't remember the ages, 16 and upwards to 19. Right. It turns out he's been found guilty of that. But he used to. People used to come to him for something, canteen or whatever it would be. He would be giving them, okay. But his thing was giving people blowjobs if they had a dirty penis. Their penis had to be dirty, and he liked sucking them off.
Wow.
So he'd create a heroin addiction with you, and then he'd like to go down on you, or shag you, and things like that. He was on normal location. A lot of men have wives in prison, and then go home to their real wife. Are they gay, or are they just serving an addiction to a level that they might just have so much testosterone in their life they can't control their behaviour, and they've got to have sex, so they will shag another man or whatever. I never did that, but I'm not condemning a man for that. They're dealing with what's put in front of them. If it doesn't affect me, then it's not my business. It doesn't make another man a bad man because he's having sex with another man.
Yeah, I think as long as they're both adults and they both consent, then, you know, that's, you have to, but the rape is...
Well, I have friends who don't agree with that because they're religious.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Muslim as well. I don't agree with that. But for me, that's between them and God. It's not my place to get. As long as you don't come next to me.
Fine, that's it.
Yeah, then
that's it.
You know,
because you have to realise in prison, you're living with a mixed bunch, and you can have your views, but you have to accept you're living with a mixed bunch, and that's the way they carry on. And if you don't, you're just going to continue to keep causing yourself headache after headache. As I did for many years when I lived by my beliefs that were wrong, in the sense where I was living in a lifestyle, an environment where that was real and considered okay.
When you was in prison, did anybody ever try to like attack you, fight you?
I had loads of fights in prison, loads. Can't tell you how many fights I've had in prison, loads. I've had people come with me with knives, 2 of them. In fact, I told the geezer to go and get a knife. He said he couldn't fight me. He said, I'm a boxer. I said, well, go and get a knife. I'll fight with a knife then. I took the knife off him. I didn't stick it back in him, but I took it off him, give him a good hiding. So I've had a couple of them, but I've been injured in prison. I've had some proper wounds in prison, broken hands and from hitting people. Gashes in my head that needed stitches, and I plugged it, and it stopped bleeding by the next day. I got away with that one. But the governors knew I'd had a fight because they come and said to me, is it now, Kevin? Is it over? I went, yeah, it's over. And that was over an old man who was having his canteen stolen, who was nearly 70, and a big Johnny Bravo bodybuilder had taken his ice cream and bacon. Wow. And he come and told me. I said, well, Con's nick stuff, Charlie, all right? He goes, yeah, but I've asked him for it back and he told me to fuck off. I said, I'll have a word with him. Well, I was in the laundry room. He hadn't been out of that laundry room 5 minutes, the whole wing knew. Next thing you know, this Johnny Barber's come walking into the laundry room with a great big cup. And I was in there from a very good friend of mine called Nelson Forrest. Beautiful man from Birmingham. Love him to bits. He's now in Ashton or Broadmoor, right, for different reasons. And this fella's walked to the back of the laundry room with a cup in his hand. Well, I know what he's coming there for. As I've walked to him, cups come down on top of my head, split me head open to bits. He didn't end up in too good a condition, and I ended up pulling him back in by his feet as he was trying to get out the door. Give him another good eye and broke my hands, like I say. He looked like John Merrick when I finished with him. If you know the film John Merrick, look him up. He looked like him, right? And the next day he come up to me, he goes, he couldn't even talk. His face was all swollen up all over the place. And he said, "It's over now." I said, "No, it ain't." I said, "I'll get down to the gym." I said, "I'm going to fucking give you another good hiding." My hand was broken, right?
He deserved it, though.
He deserved it,
I don't
right?
like bullies.
Fair play to him. He went, all right, Kevin, all right? And then Peter Fury, champion boxing trainer and capable boxer. He said, "Kevin," he said, "look at the state of his face." He said, "He can't talk. He's broken bones in his face."
Probably dislocated his jaw or something.
I broke bones. I broke his nose and everything. And
that was karma, I think. For all the violations and bullying that.
He's bullying everyone.
You know how much people you probably made happy.
Oh, he's bullying everyone in the wing, going in there, taking their tobacco and eating their food and stuff like that. And but Con's got to stick up for himself. It's a bit like in Africa, you see cubs dying. It's nature, but you've got to stick up for yourself to a certain degree. And the governor come up to me that day. He said, "All right, Kevin." I went, "Yeah." He said, "Is it over?" I went, "Yeah, it's over." Because Peter Fury said to me, "Let it go, Kevin. Fucking look at the state of it."
Yeah, that's it. You
let
did
it go.
Yeah.
So I said, "You're going to tell him to stay away from me. I can behave himself, or we get it again." And that was it. And the governors knew that was something that was set out in the prison where it's for the better of the wing. Lane's good for the wing. He doesn't suffer bullies easily. Doesn't suffer fools easily, he said. And that was what they were referring to.
They were probably happy as well deep down that you did.
They didn't like him. It's over the moon. Good hiding. Look, he's got a right good hiding. And now that was settled the wing a bit because he will not continue to go around and take the back off of people or whatever he wants and bully him. Yeah,
because some of the prison officers, they actually set up stuff like that sometimes for people to get beat up and stuff.
Oh, bloody right they do. I went away for kidnapping when I was 21. And I remember we went down to the canteen and these two fellas had broken into a charity box where cons were giving sweets and food for kids who had Down syndrome and things like that.
Aww.
And they broke into the box and stole a load of the chocolate. And the staff passed me a piece of paper with a half ounce of tobacco. Well, I didn't smoke, but my Cody did. So I give him the tobacco. He's going, "Give that fucking tobacco back. Do not take that tobacco." I said, "Why?" He said, "You're now fucking carrying out an assault on 2 inmates for the staff." I said, "But they've broken into the kid's box, my first time in prison." He said to me, "Kevin, you can't perform in here like you perform outside." He said, "Fuck's sake, it go mental." I said, "Man, anyway." So I took the names, got one on the toilet, and it was in the old Victorian prison where you can't walk across it, and the toilets are at the end, the communal toilets. And then I got the captain with his cap on and all that, and he's gone in there. He's in there. So I went in there. He was screaming. Screw standing in the centre, just looking like that. You wouldn't think a pin had been dropped, but it was a just cause. And then I come out of there, they took me down another corridor, opened the door, the other one's in there. I went in there, bashed him up and come out. And I stopped that. And that never happened again, right? So let me tell you a quick story. So when we got nicked for the kidnapping, and we went to remand, that's when my pal said, "You can't perform like that in here." So we got put in a holding tank. And we've gone in there, and we're sitting down, and this bloke comes in, he's going home, and he starts skinning up. And he puts it in his pocket. And I'm looking. And I said, "Ain't you meant to leave everything you've got for the lads behind?" I went, "Yeah, but I'm taking it home with me." I said, "But these lads have got nothing. They've been taken away from the bosom of their hearts. And then you're going home, you can get that." He said, "I don't care, I'm taking it with me." He walked out and went in the other holding tank. And I'm sitting there. And Marcus is going to me, Mr. my best mate, he's going, Kevin,
"Don't do it.
Don't." And I'm out of the chair and I've gone into the next tank, right? And I've gone up to him. I said, "You see you?" I said, if you don't give me that puff, I said, I'm going to hit you that many times you think you're surrounded. You give me the puff. I walk straight back in the other puff. I give it to. I said, here you go, lads. You fucking arsehole. Yeah. As he's walking out, he's going, you wankers, if I ever see you again, I'm going to do you. And yeah, he only come back in 2 months later, didn't he? All right.
Did you do him in?
He ended up with 17 stitches and went straight on protection. Yeah, how about that?
That's why you got to be careful what you say.
Yeah, careful what you say, you wanker.
So, about the kidnapping, did you do the kidnapping?
Yeah, I did the kidnapping. I've had a few kidnappings over the years. I mean, I thought I was doing right. But that one, I got the wrong person.
Like, what happened? What?
Well, I took them away. They'd stole some equipment off of someone, a friend of mine. They went to the police. The girl that reported on who worked for my friend, she had a baby, and these lads went to her and the baby and threatened her with a knife and said, we'll cut you and the baby.
Wow.
They then come back to me. They went to the police couldn't do nothing. They then came to me. I said, I'll sort it out. And my mate said, don't you go though, Kevin. I went, no, I won't go. Well, I did. And I went down there.
Yeah, because that's deep.
Took this fellow away and run him over a few times. Bashed his head in with an iron bar. Then took him up to London. Sprayed him with CS gas, bashed him again and threw him in the canal.
Wow.
And he was bobbing about and someone found him and pulled him out. But my act wasn't to kill him. I just thought, go and get wet now, get cold and suffer for what you've done. I wasn't trying to kill him, but it showed him my actions could have killed him. Mm-hmm. And I got back in the car with the two fellows I was with and they said, where is he? I said, I've left him sitting down on the side on the grass. Didn't tell them I've just bashed him over the head and sprayed him with CS gas, chucked him in the canal. But in my head, all I'm seeing all the time is him putting a knife to a baby.
To a baby,
and saying, we cut you and your baby.
You know how that would feel for as a mother with your baby and a man is with a knife threatening your child. That's...
Well, that's why I kidnapped him. But I should have kidnapped his mate, because it weren't him.
It was his mate.
Yeah, but he was put forward by his mate and the staff and the people local in the vicinity, in the area.
Okay.
So I went to prison for that and the judge said I took the law into my own hands. I had 2 trials. The jury was out on a Friday. They'd been told I was going into a Saturday hotel. They went out, came back with a guilty verdict in no time at all. They then went out again. We was called back upstairs. The jury had come back in and they told the judge they'd made a wrong decision. The judge said, I've got to take your first answer. Isn't that crazy? And he said, I know there's going to be a bail application. I know there's going to be an appeal, blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, don't appeal, don't nothing. I did it. I didn't give evidence, so I didn't do it. I'll accept he gave me 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, and 2 years to run concurrent. Touch. I thought I was going to get an 8 and a 10. But he understood the reason. He said, you're a vigilante, but you can't keep doing that.
Yeah.
So that was that one. And I've done a few more before that and after that. I don't do it no more.
You're reformed.
Yeah, I'm a reformed character. Violence isn't a means to an end.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you've got to remove yourself where people want to use violence on you or on other people. So I have to make sure now that I am not party to that. It's very difficult.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because it's in me to be violent against people who are violent.
Especially if people try to disrespect you or violate you or anyone that's close around you.
Rude to a woman. Or something like that. Yeah, if I was in the army, I've had therapists say to me, Kevin, you're stronger than some of the SAS we know. I've trained with SAS, by the way, and I've trained with Navy SEAL commanders.
Wow.
And I was fitter than them, and I lapped them on the circuit because I was really fit in prison. But mentally strength, I've got mental strength capacity that I've realised now that I didn't have, or I did have, I didn't realise I had that to the capacity that I haven't. I had when I was in prison. And they've told me that I'm stronger than the SAS in mental capacity, that they also know, and they believe I'd have gone on and been decorated or dead, but then I'd have been a hero. But because look at the Somme, how many of our soldiers died, villages wiped out in Wales, where they were just sending them out of the bleeding trenches to soak up the bullets of the enemy. So that's our country committing mass murder back then.
Yeah, but it's legal.
But I would have gone up out of that trench at an order. Because I've been told by the SAS, Kevin, we are trained to obey orders. to kill and to be killed. I said, and that's what you were good at. You were good at obeying orders, and you got good at structure. And you would have been a perfect soldier. And I went to be in the Marines when I was 16, but I was on probation for a fight with an older kid again, who come out to hit me with a broom, and I weighed him in. That was over burgers, arguing over a burger. And they wouldn't let me go into the Marines because they said I had 6 months probation left. It's crazy, isn't it?
No, it's like, now that you mentioned it, it's actually, when you really deep it and you really think about it, it's actually quite deep, because these people legally go out and kill people, even innocent people, and they call it collateral damage. But then when you have someone who's an individual like yourself, who has been violated, when you take the law into your own hands and you do what you do, you're all of a sudden a criminal.
Exactly that. So there was a podcast about me recently by Lewis Taylor. It's called Turning Adversity into Versity. Mm-hmm. And do you know what? I did a series called Teens and Cons for Channel 4 where I was interviewed by teenagers.
Yeah,
that comes out in October. And I championed that. I really wanted to do that, just so I keep one kid out of
I watched
prison.
one when you were sitting down on the table with the young kids and they were like interviewing you.
That's it. But that's only a pilot for the series that's coming out.
Oh, okay.
And, what was I going to say now? What was we talking about?
About when they kill people legally, and when just normal people do things like that, they say that we're taking the law into our own hands.
Yeah, now, I did that Teens and Cons. I can't remember the subject matter I was going to mention to you now, but when I did that, my object was to keep kids out of prison. And that has been received really well, but I can't remember what I was going to say to you now about that. But
sorry, I think
no, of course it's not your fault, it's mine, because I flit about too much. However, the purpose of that is to stop people going to prison. Mm-hmm. And some of the kids on there were quite challenging, one in particular. The other kids were lovely, but if we didn't have that young man who was challenging, then you should respect him for that and stop having a hard go at him. But there, Lewis Taylor. So Lewis Taylor there's a point. Lewis Taylor, he was on there, he appeared on it with me, and he's now a successful motivational speaker around the world.
Okay,
he's feet really rich. But he wanted me to appear on this new podcast channel he's doing. He was making it blue chip and putting some money into it. And I couldn't do it at the time, but I did one for him a little while ago, and he's put it up. And the title of it is The Nicest Convicted Murderer You Will Ever Meet.
Yes, what?
And I mean, what does that say? I am a nice person. I know I am. I know I'm a nice person. Mm-hmm. And all what they write about me and such. I didn't get 250 Christmas cards a year for being an arsehole, did I? And the following that I get, and how people warmly receive me right across the board. How many people can say they go to the theatre with Julie Christie and Duncan Campbell and other people like that?
Not many.
And welcome you with open arms, decently. I've had breakfast this morning with Sid Owen. Ricky, in his home, invited me into his home with his family. I was out last night with an ITV Good Morning journalist who's invited me on to Good Morning, hopefully. And I get invited now to places, well, not now, but I've been invited to people like that for years. They would never have you in your home if you was any threat to them or their family, didn't have any decent morals about you. So I take that from my experience in prison now, that people of a certain ilk and of a certain nature are comfortable around me. And that's very heartfelt for me anyway. When they say I'm a mass murderer.
Yeah, like looking at you and speaking to you, you'd never think that, you never. That's just like a label, and they try to criminalize you. But if you just keep going, doing your thing, and speaking on podcasts and stuff, people are gonna see the real you. People are gonna know that that's not true.
Yeah, they do, but because it's consistent, I don't change. I can't be bought. I won't side with you because you're famous. I won't side with you because you can have a row if I don't like you. You've got bad morals. That's it, simple. And I will talk to you if you're 4'2" and with no teeth and one eye. If I see something good in you, okay, or I make time for you, you could be the largest woman in a store in JJ Sports serving me, cross-eyed, which happened not so long ago, okay. I made that lady feel like she was a princess, okay. She was laughing and giggling, and I do that everywhere I go with men and women. So when I see that title, The Nicest Convicted Murderer You'll Ever Meet, I thought, and I've said, if you were to have a camera on my shoulder and film my interactions with the public every day, nutty interactions that I have the great laugh with, and so no one judge me because it's normal and natural. And I think people who might see that title are going to go, well, actually, that is so correct.
It is. It's so correct. When I saw it, I was like, wow. It actually touched me when I heard that. The way he phrased it and said it, it was like, because you never hear that. You never really hear, you just hear criminal, negative. But when he said that, and it actually matches up with your character and your personality and how you are. Like, look, today you've actually taken time out to come down and do a podcast with me, and you've come from really far, That says a lot, and I appreciate that a lot.
I go out of my way for a 250 persons podcast. That's all the followers I've got. So what? Nice person's reached out to me. I was due to do one with an ex-homeless person who's now living in the back of a camper van. He wants to do podcasts. I said, of course I'll do one with you.
Oh.
It gives a monkeys. They're only people. What makes me better than them? Nothing. They've had a harder life than me. Well, I spent a long time in prison, but I've got the wherewithal to go forward and keep pursuing better. But it doesn't mean that tomorrow I could just have a breakdown and become homeless. My father was an alcoholic and died as a result of alcoholism. And I didn't have a father as a child.
What age was you when you died?
I was 27.
Okay.
Sorry, 23.
Okay.
My father was 47. Yeah.
Was that hard? That must have been hard.
I got told over a prison phone.
Wow.
My father had been phoning the prison to speak to me on his deathbed, knowing he was going to die twice, and they never gave me a phone call.
And they probably didn't let you go to the funeral neither, did they?
They downgraded me to go to the funeral because I served 6 months on remand. I got bail at the Old Style Committal. I was on bail for 14 months, then come back for convicted. So I didn't have a very long time left. I owned my own home. I had businesses, I had 2 children. I wasn't a flight risk, and they downgraded me to go to the funeral, considering I had a very short sentence to do. And I'd served another 6 weeks by then, so I'd served 6 months, 6 weeks out of a 2-year sentence. I went to the funeral, got picked up, come back, had to carry me through the gate. I was legless, couldn't walk. Left me in reception, said we can't put him back on the land, he can't even walk. Woke me up later on, helped me back to the wing. Got up the next morning, carried on serving my sentence. Just buried my dad. Very difficult. Very difficult. Yeah.
I can't imagine.
I didn't cry. I didn't cry till I come home. And I remember sitting in the front room in a house I'd bought whilst I was on remand, actually. Which is not a lot of people can say they've done that at a young man's age. And I just broke down in tears. Just come out of me. I had no idea why. I thought, why am I crying?
Because you didn't cry. That's why it stayed in you and it had to come out. And
I had no idea why I was crying, though. I don't know why. It just come out of me and I started thinking about my dad.
Because subconsciously, it was probably there in the back of your mind and you didn't really, you're trying to suppress it and then it just came out.
I've had other things like that happen to me in the past. Like, I remember walking into Ann Summers and coming out dressed in suspenders. I don't know if that was subconscious or not.
Are you being serious right now?
Why does it turn you on? No, I never. But I'll tell you what I did do in Ann Summers. I walked in there on my town visits with my son, right? And that's my son Tommy, you see. And then by then he's got a baby and such, like, he's with a missus. And I've said, let's go and have a look in here, Ann Summers. Cool, I ain't seen these for years. So we've walked in. I said, miss, I says, will you tell him delay spray don't work? She said, it's all in the brain, son. It's all in the head. He's gone like gobsmacked. He went, what is he talking about now? And I said, I told you. And I walked out, I left him standing like that. Gobsmacked.
That must have been so awkward for him, isn't it?
Oh, but it's funny for me. You've got to have a laugh, haven't you?
Yeah, no, definitely.
When you should have seen your face when I told you that about the suspenders.
Yeah, I was like,
weirdo.
no, you're not serious.
No, but I kept a straight face, didn't I, for a minute?
Yeah, you did. I kind of believed you for a couple of seconds.
Well,
I thought, no.
Didn't work with the jury, did it?
Yeah.
Hey? Okay, now my mate Danny McNamara got done for the Hyde Park bombing. Found out they fitted him up in the end for that. He got not guilty.
Wow.
He said to me, fucking cry when you're in that box. Fucking cry. I said, I am not crying when I'm in that box. He said, you would have wished you had done if you get a guilty. It's not a very good Irish voice, is it? Anyway, I got a guilty. I wish I had cried. I bloody cried after. God, I got that big life sentence. I was in that box, in the cell. I had tears rolling down my eyes. And I remember saying to her, I said, why am I here?
You didn't do
What
anything.
have I done to deserve this, Mum? And I remember saying it, God, what's happened? So it wasn't even for me. And I couldn't work out how come I was in this situation. I remember people saying to me, they can't find you guilty for something you haven't done.
Yeah.
That come from the mother of my children's father at the time. It's still his father now. And he said, test them to sit tight. They can't. And then I got guilty. And then I went back to them cells and thought, but now I realised there was something bigger and better for me. And that so much more good's going to come. I do a charity work now every Monday, and I absolutely love it. I've been doing it for nearly 2 years. I won't miss it for anything unless I have to. I'll get kisses and cuddles off of old ladies in mobility scooters who are not homeless, but they're skint. People who've got learning difficulties who are in hostels, just off the street, all sorts of people. It's a bit selfish to say I'll get more reward from that than what I do giving, because seeing their faces. But I think there's a bigger and better things for me now, and that things happen for a reason. And they say life shuffles the cards and we have to play with the best hand we've got.
Yep.
I believe that's the best hand I've got. And I've come out of it the other end, a better person. I've got better understanding for people. And I can do so much more now for people that I wouldn't have been able to do if I hadn't gone to prison. So I tried to find the positive in the negative. And then I think that keeps me going forward in the right mindset.
I think that's good, and I greatly respect that. So this Crime-ology podcast is obviously it's about interviewing reformed criminals and talking about crime and stuff. But like my main goal is to try to deter the younger generation from the life of crime. So because a lot of people try to do that, but they can't relate. The youth can't relate to these people who have never been to jail, don't commit crime. Like people like probation officers or people that are just, in general, they can't relate to these people when they try to speak to them. But people like yourself who have been to jail, you have respect, you're a fighter, you're strong. When people like you speak, the younger generation relate to you. They will listen to you. So if you had like a message to the younger generation, what would it be? What would you say to them?
Right. I can't go into the details, but I've just filmed a TV series in a prison with a number of high-profile people. And the message that was given to them people is what I will give to the younger generation. There's some young generation people in that prison with me. And they used to call me G, something G.
Top G,
like
Andrew Tate.
P.2, boss of bosses, and shite like that, right? But they're saying it respectfully.
Yeah.
And I said to him, listen, this is a mugs game. What is wrong with you? Stop all that. I respect you and thank you for doing that, but I said, it's a mugs game. Because you come to prison away from your loved ones and you might never go home. All you kids that are committing crime in here now, you ain't real criminals. You're robbing drug dealers or doing crimes where you haven't really got to put much thought into it. There's scumbag crimes and all, a lot of them, what you are now doing, which is full up, the landers are full up of them. So they're bringing their ways from the street into the prison system, and they're conducting their same ways on the street in the prison system. So they've got no respect for themselves. So bear this in mind. If you want to commit crime and come into prison, be mindful that this might just happen to you. As soon as you come into that prison, you'll be looked at to see what they can get off of you, what trainers you got on, what money you got wrapped round you, what money they can get out of your family, what they can get you to do, if you can be a runner for them. It's all about what they can get off you or they can get you to do. Whereas before, black, white, or wherever you come from, you would be welcomed. Where are you from? Oh, listen, such and such from there. Do you need anything? Tea bags? Yeah, blah, blah. You become a community. You had respect for your fellow interns. There is no respect for fellow interns now. It's fear and control. They will come in your cell, and as you see when I told that teens and cons kids, nice trainers, knife to his throat, I'll have them. He didn't know what to think, did he? I said, well, that's going on. And the two fellas behind me are going to come in tomorrow and pour boiling hot water over your feet, and you're going to send some money into your account. Otherwise, you're going to get more of that. Have you got it? That's what's going on. Mm-hmm. They take all your canteen, all your PlayStations, and oh, by the way, you might have to suck his cock and all. What do you think's going on in there? It's kindergarten playtime? Not at all. Have a reality check. Mm-hmm. Come into prison to face mayhem and carnage and harm. Mm-hmm. It isn't like we welcome you and become one. You might think it's great to become one of the boys, but one of your boys will turn on you because they turn on each other all the time in there now, and the bells are always going off. Not a nice place to be. I know that because I've walked them landings. It's changed massively. Go and get a job, enjoy your life and be free, because it's a mugs game. Absolute mugs game. And I swear to that.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome, because I don't want to see kids in prison and come out the other end with no future, or come out and commit mass murder, going around shooting people because they're part of a gang, and coming away for 30 or 40 years, destroying their mum's lives, their grand's life, their brothers and sisters' lives, their friends' lives, the lives of the people they've killed or the person they've killed.
Their kids.
Their kids, or not been able to have any kids because they've gone to prison too young and they come out too old and they can't produce. If they get out, they'll probably come out of cabbage.
Yeah, they don't think about these things.
Don't think about it. Prisons are absolute shitholes now. They bang you up for longer, give you a TV, give you a PlayStation, and then lock you up for longer. So if you want to be locked in a cell or cage for longer periods of time playing the PlayStation, get your arse in prison. You'll come out a vegetable.
Or even it's either prison or you get buried 6 feet in a box, and your parents and family are crying for you, and
you're dead or in prison.
Yeah. That
lifestyle. The IRA, when they join the IRA, say you're going in the ground or you're going in prison. That's what you've joined up for.
Yeah.
Well, you're pretty much joining up for the same if you become in a gang or you're going to do something mental. It's so sad. This isn't a dress rehearsal. This is one life. Live it. Get on with it and make the best of it.
I agree.
I've got Ollie there, one life, live it, and I've got code there. I live by my code, and they stand for something, those letters do. And I look at them and I remind myself, live by your code, Kevin, and my codes are chivalry, honour, decency and empathy. Honour spelt of an H, so I got that wrong. But the way I speak, I thought honour. And I thought, you daft bastard. Honour spelt of an H, so I've changed what that means now to oath. Chivalry, oath, decency and empathy.
Nice.
Yeah, and they need to hold on to that. And if you can hold on to that and open the door for your mum, and don't swear so much around women. I do it now because I've been around prisons too much. Prisoners swear more. But I'd have a right word with you if you was a man and you were swearing in front of my mum. I said, do you mind not swearing in front of my mum, please? Disrespectful. But then I now swear in front of women. Not all the time, but I'd only use certain words in front of a woman. I wouldn't use some that are repulsive.
Do you think you've been institutionalised in any way?
Nah.
Not at all?
No. Do I seem like I am?
No.
Nah. I took out my first town visit, like I say, in Hull. I took me into a Tesco's, pay as you go. I went straight up, looked at it, pay as you go. Got in the car. I ain't been in the car for bleeding 16 years. Put a seatbelt on. But 17, no, it's more than that. It was 18 years, shall I say. And put a seatbelt on. And the report from the officer, Ray, he's gone, Lane got into the car, put his seatbelt on immediately. As if I had forgotten how to do it. We went to service checkout in Tesco's. He went straight to the self-service, read the situation, paid for his food, and we left. And it's having that ability to cross the road without worrying. And my brother came home from prison. He's not a criminal, but he ended up in prison like a dope for one sentence only, thank God. That was many, many years ago. He had trouble walking across the road, and he did a shit and a shave. I think I've done longer in the same boxer shorts than he did in prison. And he had trouble walking across the road.
That's crazy.
It's crazy, but a lot of men suffer that. So when I was locked up recently with these people, the first night, oh my God, how much more of this have we got to put up with? I can't, the boredom's killing me. I said, boredom? We ain't got a TV. Sit down there. This is a backgammon board, and I'm teaching you to play backgammon. And then before you know it, we're chatting and laughing and having a right laugh. Proper laugh with people that you're going to see when it comes out, and see hard life prison going down.
Yeah.
And that isn't good.
Just wanted to show them the book, Fitted Up and Fighting Back by Kevin Lane. You can order it. It's on Amazon.
On
right?
Amazon, Waterstones. Thing is, we are going to, if you order, or just go straight to Amazon.
That's great.
And get it from there. But I hope Amazon do a good as print as we do.
I think I might have ordered the last one. I haven't received it yet, but I got 2 now, and I have it signed as well. So I'm really happy about that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed the interview, and again, lovely surroundings you've got here.
Thank you. Do you know what? This is like the best interview so far. I really enjoyed it.
Honestly?
Not that the others weren't great. They were good as well, but this was the best one for me so far.
Oh, thank you. I'm honoured. I'm humbled actually for that. I just seem to be getting so many nice comments lately. It's overwhelming. I'm finding out so much more about myself now as a person.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought that they said you are made for TV.
I think you are, to be honest.
I'm getting directors tell me that.
Yeah, you are. You got a lot of confidence. You got a character. You're funny.
When does it come out, your podcast?
It's gonna cut. So basically, I'm gonna get it edited, and then I'm gonna, because I've got 3 so far. I'm gonna see what order I'm gonna put them in, and then I'm gonna let you know. But they'll be out soon. They'll be out really soon. I'll let you know as soon as I've edited it. I'll send it to you so that you can watch it and stuff like that.
You've been talking for over 2.5 hours. You've got your other appointment, and you've got to have lunch. So just be mindful.
Okay, so I think we've got to wrap this up.
Right. Okay.
So we'll wrap this up. Thank you so much.